Hello everyone, it is a great pleasure to join you today on this event from Lecture Room to Global Access. I'm Lukman Lawa and I'm also an alumnus of the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, FUNAB. I could imagine how you guys are seated at the venue. It's one of the venues I've been in the past before, and I'm happy to be here to share with you today. So I started looking out for information on scholarship, study abroad around 300 level. I think that was after COVID-19. I get to see a lot of people online that traveled out of Nigeria with fully funded scholarship. So I was like, oh, this is really, really good. One of the scholarship I was exposed to earlier was Erasmus Mundus, but I was not able to apply for that because the program I want to apply for, which is Masters in Public Health, was suspended for some years due to funding. So there's no opportunity for that. So I heard about Mastercard Foundation, I heard about South Korea government scholarship, I heard about Turkey scholarship, Commonwealth scholarship. So then what I was doing is to acquire information that I need for this, and at the same time I also know that I need to graduate with a very good grade to be very, very competitive. So I graduated with first class, I think about top 3% in the school during my set, if I could remember quite correctly. So my university days was like the later stage of my university stage was like a preparation toward what I envisioned to go for after this. Then I transitioned with that also throughout my national service. So immediately after my convocation in FUNAB, immediately after my final exam and defense, when I know everything was ready, I got my notification result. I immediately processed my unofficial transcript, because then I already know those documents that I need to get to be able to do all these things. I started saving as well. I had a side also. Then I started saving little monthly because I was looking towards applying for an international passport as well, hoping that yes, I'll be able to get an admission during those periods. However, my major target was actually in the United States of America to apply for a direct PhD, which is also one of those things that I get to know through the information I was exposed to, that I could really apply for a direct PhD using my bachelor's degree in American schools. So I was targeting America, Australia, and any other scholarship I could see. But basically those, I started sending out cold emails to professors to tell them that I want to apply to their schools. So given that there are several schools that partner with, that the Mastercard Foundation partner with for their scholars program, it's one thing unique about the Mastercard Foundation scholar program is also that each schools determine the application process. So, and the application set could differ from each school, but again the value and the idea and the benefits are quite similar. So to be a successful candidate, you have to prove that you have potential for success. You have to prove that you are economically disadvantaged. Maybe you also have disability. That's also another set of people that they also look out for, but not like it is compulsory that you have to be disabled. You have to prove that you have potential for success. Like I mentioned before, you have to prove your academic excellence. You have to prove your leadership potential based on your previous experience. You have to prove that you've engaged with the community, you've given back to your community, you volunteer for your community, and you have to prove that you have the transformative leaders values. Those are some of those things that they look up to. Some schools also look at your entrepreneurship traits as well. They just want to see that you are a leader, you are a potential leader, because the value of Mastercard is also like to empower African youths so that we can develop Africa. So Basically, that is what Mastercard is all about. But like I mentioned, you have several schools, and each school determines the application process. So usually application process in school is that you have to apply for that school and you apply for the Mastercard in that school as well. So in some cases, which means you have to get admitted by both. So in some cases, for example, in McGill University in Canada, I tried out as well. You can be admitted by the school and you don't get the scholarship. Same as my school, you can get the admission and you don't get through the scholarship process. In some schools, you apply at the same time for both. Like in my school, the application is embedded in one application together. While in some school, like University of Edinburgh, you apply separately for both, and you have to. But in both schools, you have to get both the funding and the admission. But the beauty of it is that you can apply to as many Mastercard Foundation Scholars program as possible, because it is like independent application process. It's not like the foundation oversees their application process. They give the school the liberty of making the application themselves. But then again, the Mastercard program everywhere have something they are looking for. They want to hear your story. So what make your applications successful is that you have to tell your own story. You have to be yourself. So that is one thing I tell people that are applying for my school or any other school. You have to know how to tell your story. You have to let them see that you have potential for success. So how do you do that? Number one, they want to see your record. They want to see your past, what you've been doing in the past years. For example, your grade points matters. At times you might even have a low grade, but you're able to justify that maybe this is the reason why this is happening. You want to show them the economic situation of your family. So in my own case, for example, I was a core member. With the amount I was earning, it was very, very little. I could make a case as well that, okay, I come from this kind of family, this is the kind of situation that is around me, and despite all these struggles, I was able to have this great point, because I have to also work and cater for myself in school, because now I need to relieve the burden on my parents. So which means with all these struggles, I'm able to perform excellently. That is one. You have to show your leadership experience as well, to say, okay, in my own capacity, I've led as well. And so I also tell people one thing: leadership for Mastercard is not about maybe you are the SUG president, you are the president of your department. Leadership could be an innovative intervention that you did. Maybe, for example, in class, you coordinate your class for something. That is leadership. Leadership could be in different form. So that is one thing as well. Leadership could also be that, like, part of it is also like interwoven into the community service and giving. Like maybe you have a friend in school that was struggling and you help out, maybe do tutorial for your friend, or assist you see a problem in your community, you kind of contribute to solving that problem. That is something that Mastercard Foundation is looking out for. So the timeline is quite different. Like I mentioned, you could check the Mastercard Foundation page to see their scholar program and see the time frame where they do their application process. But usually for most schools, it's around October, September when schools usually open their application, like McGill University and others. Like my school is usually around November, December/January. The application process open like December, November, around that period. So some of the documents that you need, depending on the school, but the most common one is that you need your transcript. The unofficial transcripts work quite well for that. You need an academic CV, you need your SOP, and most of Mastercard Scholar program has specific essays depending on the school. Some might have up to 5 essays. They ask you different questions. Some of the questions could be what are your short and long term goals. Some of it could be like issue in the past, maybe in the past that you've taken up an initiative or something, or some of it could be like, what do you envision to gain from the Mastercard Foundation program, or why are you applying for it? So when you want to answer these questions, you have to prove. You don't have to say it, you have to show it in your writing that you've done something. For example, if they ask you about your background, you don't want to make them feel pity, but you want to make them see that despite your background, you are doing well at your own level currently. So which is why most people tell you, even in your SOP, people tell you that you should use the STAR approach, which is the situation, the task, the action, and the results. But some people also say you can use the STAR and L. The L is the lesson. So you want to tell, when you're answering those essays on your SOP, you want to answer those essays using the STAR approach to show actions, because by that you are telling them the situation, that the present situation, the task you did, what you're expected to do, for example, the activity that you did to make sure you do that task, then the results that you're saying that, for example, you are from a poor background, for example, you say, okay, this is my situation. Maybe I'm from a family of 20 or something like that. The task is that I know that education is very important for me and I need to excel very well. So what are the activities I did? I had to read late. I have to do extra work to cater for my expenses in school. The result is that, okay, even after that, I graduated with maybe 4.7 something, like in my case, for example. They ask you for your long-term goal, you have to do something like that. So for some school as well, they require for English test score, depending on the school actually. But the beauty of the Mastercard Foundation is that even if you're a very good candidate, after the admission and they request for English test score, you go ask them that you want to take the test, but you don't have the money and they pay for you. Like in my school, I know they pay for people for their English test score. Some school also pay for your international passport as well. You tell them you don't have a passport, they tell you, okay, do the passport. When you come back, we reimburse you. You get what I mean? So those are some of the advantage of the scholars program.